Well, you know that Chicago is the center of the universe, and all of the areas in Illinois are very, very important. But there's nothing quite like the 7th Congressional District, pressed into a political subdivision, beginning here at Lake Michigan. And so you have the Loop area. Part of the Loop is in the 7th District. Of course, that's the center of business and commerce, the mercantile exchange, the stock market. And then adjacent there, you've got the near north area, the Streeterville community, area where some of the wealthiest people in the United States of America live, work, operate, and play. The South Loop is a mecca for educational institutions. You could call it a university campus in terms of the number of educational institutions and the number of students in the area. Columbia College, Northwestern University, the medical school, Roosevelt University, the museum. And so you move out, you've got a community called Little Italy, where Italians continue to live. The University of Illinois at Chicago. And then, of course, further west, you have the impoverished West Side area, the Garfield Parks, the Austin community to some degree, the North Lawndale area. South area, you've got Inglewood, some of Bronzeville. And so it's an area that elected officials, business people, and everybody else would find to be very interesting. And you got the location of city government, city hall. And so it's very interesting from a political vantage point. Lots of candidates are running. There are 13 candidates. Many of them are well known. Some of them are not so well known, but it's a desirable area, and it has been a great voting area for Democrats. And then you got the western suburbs, cities like Oak Park, Maywood, Bellwood, Broadview, Hillside, all of those, North Riverside, all of those areas are desirable communities from a political vantage point. So with 13 candidates running, the political action committees obviously got very interested, are very interested, and have pumped and are pumping a great deal of money into the election. I think there's more money being spent in that election, in this election, than you find being spent in many other congressional districts throughout America. And so a political war, for all practical purposes, are underway, and politicians who get elected at this juncture could probably figure on being in place. For example, I will be finishing up 30 years as the elected person in that community. And of course, we've had lots of fun, but we also owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the individuals who have voted for me at least 15 times. And of course, I'm grateful, but the community has continued to develop. Part of the area used to be Skid Row.
Right.
What was once Skid Row down Madison Street is now the near west sides with some of the hottest real estate in the town. I mean, purchasing or buying or putting a business into that area would cost one a tremendous amount of money. The South Loop, which used to be almost nothing, that whole area from the South Loop all out to as far south as maybe 3,000 is burgeoning with not only population and people, but also with businesses. Of course, we've seen the decline of public housing because there used to be public housing all the way from 22nd Street all the way out to 55th Street, right down State. I mean, Stateway Gardens, all of that Robert Taylor Homes, public housing. 7th District had more public housing than all the rest of the districts put together in terms of where low-income people live, low-income residents. So the big fight is
The same thing.
who will control the politics of the area from a congressional vantage point. Will it be the developers or will it be the people? The people have been in control at least for the 30 years that I've been there. And the people want to remain in control. Of course, wealthy individuals would like to have control. And so you have a very wealthy person running who knows virtually nothing about the community or nothing about the area. And then, of course, the political action committees have invested heavily into the area. And they're the local guys. The guy that I'm supporting, for example, are the gentleman who is a state representative and has been in office for 19 years and has passed 117 bills. Well, obviously, this would be the kind of person that the community would want to see emerge because he has a relationship with the community. He knows the people, and the people know him. Some of the other candidates are not known at all, except through their television advertisements with the PAC money that they've been able to receive and generate. So it's a hot election. People are very interested in it nationally, internationally, and there are 4 more days or so. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I make no bones about the fact that I support the person with the most experience, the Shawn Ford, who's been in the General Assembly for 19 years and has been effective. So all of the candidates will be on the street every day. Their people will be on the street. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. And I hope when the dust clears that the person who can best represent the area, one who knows the area best, who has been in office the longest and one of the few who have, that would be the state representative, LaShawn Ford. Oh, that tree. Well, that's who I'm voting for, and that's who I'm asking people if they will vote to elect the people's choice, who is State Representative LaShawn Ford. Well, the crypto pack does not want LaShawn Ford elected because they know that LaShawn Ford will represent the interests of the people and not their interests. So they've put out a nasty ad, totally false, claiming that LaShawn Ford has been convicted of a felony, which is an absolute lie. LaShawn Ford had 17 charges against him. All 17 of those charges were dropped, were thrown out. The Justice Department discovered or found that they had been on a fishing trip, and the only thing they actually could find was a little underpayment in terms of income tax. And even the most money that was talked about or involved in that was about $3,000. And of course, that got paid, and the fella ended up getting a refund back from the Internal Revenue Service. So it's an absolute lie. I guess that's the only way you can say it, is that he has been abused by this political action committee. His attorneys have sent to them a letter asking that they stop this advertisement. They cease and desist.
Yes, cease it.
And I hope they will, but we will continue to fight them, because to suggest that this honorable state representative in office 19 years has done something that he shouldn't be elected for having done is an absolute lie. It's a mischaracterization of who the gentleman is, and his life should not be put on hold with a lie. And so it's a lie.
Yeah.
He's an honorable man, and I hope and pray that he will be elected to represent the 7th Congressional District, as I have done for the last 29 and a half years. And so that's why I support State Representative LaShawn K. Ford.
Congressman, another question. Most recently, NBC 5D that have talked also covered expellage forces influencing Chicago local elections, especially for District 7 and District 9. Can you comment on your concerns or your thoughts on external monies and sources funding the races?
Well, I think that those of us who might be called progressives have long known that election finance reform need to take place. I mean, if corporations can put that kind of money into elections and try and buy the voice of the people. And so when Citizens United and all of these entities can be treated as if they are citizens as opposed to being corporate entities that they are, and as long as money becomes the driving force, and you can distort somebody's record, distort who they are to try and buy elections, then that puts a blot on democracy. That puts a block on what the country believes in and says it believes in. And so we need to keep trying to change election law so that the voice of the citizen will always prevail. It's supposed to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. And the only way we can do that is have fair elections and not have a system that is so one-sided that the wealthy can buy the votes that are necessary, change people's minds, and then they get the decisions that they want. The people should be the ones making the decision. And in the 7th district, I am clear that LaShawn Ford is the person who will has already represented, has done it for 19 years, will represent the people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.